What if the power to shape your reality was never lost, only silenced? And what if what you've called limitation is merely a distorted echo of truth, waiting for you to remember the forgotten command? There is a code, ancient, alive, undying, hidden not in temples, not in texts, but in the stillness between your thoughts, whispered once by Thoth, written in no tongue, yet pulsing through all of creation. You have never been disconnected, you were simply taught not to listen. If the desire to uncover the forgotten code stirred something within, touch the subscribe symbol below. That single act sends a signal to your unconscious. You are ready to hear what comes next. This is not just a video, this is a symbolic activation. Everything begins where no sound yet exists. There is a place you've visited many times, not with your feet, but with your essence. A space where thought dissolves and only presence remains. A moment so subtle, so ancient it cannot be taught, only remembered. It is not a void of absence. It is the womb of all frequencies. This is where the code begins. Before the word, before the breath, before even the light, there was intention. Raw, pure, formless. And that intention was you. You came encoded, not with sentences, but with frequencies. Not with stories, but with vibrations. What you call your mind is only the surface of a field that reaches beyond time. And this field and this invisible space you carry inside is where the command to manifest originates. But the world taught you to speak without listening, to desire without aligning, to act before attuning. And so the code was silenced. What if your greatest manifestations are waiting in the stillness you've been avoiding? This is not a metaphor, it is a return. Thoth, the divine scribe, the speaker of frequencies, did not write the universe. He whispered it into motion. He did not use ink. He used intention. He did not command by force. He aligned by vibration. What he encoded into the emerald tablets was not instruction. It was resonance. To manifest is not to speak louder. It is to remember the original frequency of what you seek. Every thought you've ever had is an echo. Every word you've spoken, a ripple. But what if your true creative power doesn't lie in your thoughts or your words, but in the space that comes before them? The whisper before the word, the frequency before the form. That is where the field responds, not to your noise, but to your stillness. You've been told to visualize, to affirm, to think positive, but ancient initiates knew. The seed does not grow by shouting at the soil. It grows when the field is right. Your field is your signature. It is not about saying the right thing. It is about being the frequency that matches what you seek, because manifestation is not about control. It is about coherence. When your silence is aligned, your reality listens. There is no need to force reality to obey. The temple does not open to pressure, it opens to presence. So ask yourself, when was the last time you were truly silent? Not just in voice, but in vibration. When was the last time you let the echo return without trying to shape it? Because in that echo may live your original command. And that command may not be words at all. It may be a feeling, a knowing, a pulse. Thoth never said speak, he said align. What the Emerald Code truly reveals is not a sequence of actions, it is a frequency of being. This is why seekers throughout time fail to manifest by technique, because they imitate the surface, but forget the silence beneath, the silence that carries the original instruction, the whisper before the word. And that silence is waiting. This is the code you carry. It's not external, it's not missing, it's not locked. It's simply been waiting for you to remember how to listen. But if the code is a whisper, how did it survive all this time? The answer lives in the symbols Thoth left behind, not just to read, but to feel. And in the next portal, we follow those glyphs. What if symbols don't just represent reality, but create it? There are marks older than language, not written to be read, but to be felt. Glyphs that do not explain, they initiate. The glyphs of Thoth are not letters, they are frequencies in form. Each one, a vibration compressed into a line. Each one, a mirror to a realm within you. They don't instruct, they awaken. You may have seen these symbols before, carved in temples, etched in emerald, whispered into dreams, but they are not static. They are alive, and more than that, they are listening, because a true symbol doesn't just reveal, it responds. The codes of Thoth are not meant to be deciphered, they are meant to be embodied. One line curves upward, and something in your spine straightens. One shape spirals inward, and your breath deepens. These are not reactions, they are recognitions. They speak to the part of you that never forgot, because Thoth never wrote for the mind. He wrote for the field. To read his glyphs is to remember your original architecture. In ancient temples, initiates would spend years meditating on a single symbol, not to interpret it, but to become it, to feel its pulse beneath their skin, to let it echo in their silence, to allow it to rearrange their inner geometry. Because when you align with a true glyph, you become the code. Thoth's symbols are not spells to cast. They are mirrors, blueprints of divine order. They do not manifest reality. They reveal the reality that matches their vibration. And when you hold one, not with your hands but with your field, you activate the reality already encoded within you. This is why the code was hidden, not because it was secret, but because it had to be felt to be found. Words can be twisted, systems can be copied, but resonance cannot be faked. That's why Thoth encoded his wisdom in shape and vibration, not speech, because only those aligned would see, only those listening would hear. To find the glyph is not to see, but to become the frequency it holds. Look now at your life. It too is a glyph. Every relationship, a stroke. Every silence, a space. Every emotion, a symbol in motion. You have been writing your own emerald tablet all along, with your thoughts, your beliefs, your breath. And the moment you recognize it, you begin to reshape it. You are not here to interpret the code. You are here to resonate with it. Somewhere in your being, a glyph is pulsing, not outside, not ancient, inside, eternal. It is not waiting to be found. It is waiting to be embodied. It is the command that only your vibration can unlock. Because the code of Thoth is not a text, it's a state. But how does a frequency become form? How does the invisible shape the visible? In the next portal, we enter the gate of manifestation, where the vibration becomes reality, and the unseen begins to speak. If everything vibrates, then reality is not built. It is tuned. You've been told to build your reality, as if it were a structure outside you, made brick by effort and will. But what if reality is not something you construct, but something you attune to? What if you're not here to force, but to resonate? In the teachings hidden beneath the emerald tablets, manifestation was never described as effort. It was always described as alignment, a vibration that calls to itself what already matches its tone, a field echoing itself. The ancients didn't manifest by wishing. They did it by becoming the frequency of the world they sought to enter. They knew nothing solid is truly solid. Everything you see, this screen, your body, the stars, is vibration slowed into visibility. The form is not the truth. The frequency is. Every object is a frozen sound. Every experience, a condensed pulse. Even your emotions are vibrations organizing matter. You are a living waveform, navigating a field of resonance. And this field? It doesn't speak English. It doesn't understand want. It doesn't respond to begging, fearing, wishing, or trying. It only responds to vibration. To manifest is not to convince reality. It is to speak its language. And that language is frequency. When you say, I want abundance, but feel scarcity, the field reads only the scarcity. When you say, I am ready, but vibrate resistance, the field aligns with the resistance. Because the field is not personal, it is precise. It echoes what you are, not what you say. Let this sink in. Your life is a mirror, not of your thoughts, but of your frequency. And your frequency is not just a feeling. It's an orchestration. It includes your beliefs, your breath, your inner imagery, your silence. The gate of manifestation is not opened by demand. It is opened by coherence. When your breath, your thought, and your silence say the same thing, the gate opens. The Emerald Code doesn't say try harder. It says become aligned, because energy doesn't lie, and the field does not betray itself. So if you're wondering why your manifestations delay, don't ask what you want. Ask what you're vibrating. Visualize this. Your words are tuning forks. Your body is the chamber. Your emotions are the amplifier. Your intention is the key. Together, they create a song, and the field around you listens, not to the words but to the tone. If the tone is scattered, the field reflects distortion. If the tone is aligned, the gate opens. You are not here to create from the outside in, but from the inside out. And it begins with vibration. Breathe in now. Feel your chest rise. That breath carries data, information, an emotional signal. The breath is not just survival. It's the original bridge between intention and form. When Thoth spoke creation into being, he first aligned breath, thought, and field. That is the true meaning of as above, so below. Not a metaphor, a technology. The inner field creates the outer. The invisible generates the visible. And the moment you align, truly align, the gate shifts. What you seek is not summoned, it is recognized. Everything you're trying to manifest, it's already encoded, just outside your current vibration. And you don't have to chase it, you have to tune to it. That tuning begins in your field, not your actions. And the field is tuned by presence, not pressure. Think of reality as a river. You don't build the water, you choose where to enter. And your vibration decides which current you touch. Some seek to swim upstream, fighting, forcing, shouting affirmations. Others sink into silence. And in that silence, they hear the current whisper back. That's where manifestation truly begins, not in the doing, in the resonance. So what do you do when you feel out of alignment? You pause, you listen, you stop asking the field to change, and you begin to change your tone, even if just slightly, even if all you can shift is your breath. That is enough to begin, because the field responds to intention, not perfection, but what shapes your tone, what causes your vibration to rise or fall. To understand that, we must descend beneath the conscious mind, into the veil, into the block, into the hidden interference. That's where we go next. If the desire to uncover the forgotten code stirred something inside, touch the subscribe symbol below, not for this video, but for every tone that will follow. That one act sends a message to your field. I'm ready for the next memory. If everything vibrates, then reality is not built, it is tuned. What if reality isn't something you achieve, but something you remember how to resonate with? What if the life you seek isn't waiting in the future, but resting just beyond the threshold of your current vibration? You've been told to build, to strive, to reach. But the ancients whispered a different truth. What you seek is not outside you. It's simply vibrating beyond your current tone. Reality is not a destination. It is a frequency band. Let that echo through you. Not a goal, not a prize, a layer, a stratum, a channel. And you are the instrument. You are the dial. And the field is listening, not to your effort, but to your resonance. Thoth never gave step-by-step instructions. He gave glyphs, living symbols of vibration, because he knew the universe doesn't speak in logic, it speaks in coherence. When you become the frequency of a reality, that reality recognizes you. It doesn't resist, it doesn't question, it doesn't delay, it simply aligns. You are not a beggar at the gates of creation, you are the gatekeeper of your own frequency. Feel this, you are already a transmitter. Every breath, every heartbeat, every belief is broadcasting, not in word, but in waves. And the universe, it replies in kind. Let's go deeper. Imagine your life as a field of mirrors. Each mirror reflects not what you desire, but what you vibrate. If your inner field is distorted, the mirrors bend. If your inner field is aligned, the mirrors reveal clarity. So the work is not in chasing the reflection, it is in becoming the tone that matches the image you long to see. You are the source of the tone. The field is the amplifier. Words can lie. Frequency cannot. Thoughts can be masked. Resonance cannot. This is why Thoth taught through frequency, not commandments, because only the aligned can hear the real message, not through the ears, but through the field. The frequency gate isn't an object. It's a moment, a collapsing of inner and outer into a single pulse, a yes without hesitation, a tone without distortion, a self without division. This is the gate that opens realities. But how do I reach that coherence? Not by trying harder, but by subtracting noise, by removing the dissonant thoughts, the masked intentions, the hidden resistance. Coherence is what remains when nothing inside you argues with your becoming. It's not perfection, it's alignment. Let's bring it closer to the breath. Close your eyes, feel the inhale, let it rise like a tide of stillness. Now ask yourself, what tone does this breath carry? Is it rushed, frantic, hopeful, expectant, or is it quiet, full, sovereign? Your breath is a mirror of your field. When it changes, so does the code you send. Thoth aligned breath with field, not as ritual but as architecture. Every exhale is a message. Every pause is a signature. The gate does not require force. It responds to fidelity, to truth and vibration. This is why the temples were silent, not to suppress but to tune. Because only in silence does your real frequency rise. You've tried visualizing, you've tried repeating affirmations, and still, the shift evades you. That's because the technique isn't the key. The tone is. You can say I am free 1,000 times, but if your body vibrates imprisonment, the field will respond to the body. The field doesn't listen to your voice, it listens to your essence. Essence isn't what you declare. Essence is what remains when you stop declaring. It's the subtle, the quiet, the unseen alignment, and that is the language of manifestation. Let's flip the question. Instead of asking, what should I do to attract it? Ask, what version of me already lives in resonance with this reality? Because manifestation is not movement forward. It's a collapse into the now, where it already exists, and that collapse only happens through coherence. Now imagine a temple. Stone, breath, glyphs. You stand in the center. The gate before you is not locked. It simply waits for a frequency match. Not a chant, not a passcode. Just a presence so aligned that the temple walls sing back your own vibration. This is the tone of true creation. When the field sings with you, not against you, and you'll know you've reached it not by what you receive, but by what you no longer resist. There will be no fireworks, just a silence that vibrates like a homecoming. That is the gate. But why do we fall out of tone? Why is coherence so often fleeting? Because beneath the conscious mind, something pulls the strings. In the next passage, we unveil the interference, the veil of forgetfulness that fractures the field. What if forgetting was never failure, but initiation? There is a moment you do not remember, not because it was unimportant, but because it was sacred. A moment where your essence passed through the membrane of form, and in doing so, forgot. Not everything, but enough. Enough to feel lost, enough to search, enough to awaken the code by longing for it. This is the veil. It is not a punishment. It is not a flaw. It is the sacred silence between vibration and memory, a fog that makes you seek the sun, a shadow that makes the light feel real. Without the veil, there is no journey. Without forgetting, there is no true remembering. The soul did not fall. It descended into density, into time, into meaning. But in that descent, the frequency fragmented. What once pulsed as one, now echoes in pieces. Thought separated from emotion, word disconnected from breath, intention clouded by fear, and manifestation became distorted, not because you lack power, but because the signal has static. You are still the transmitter, but the dial was turned. Imagine a crystal, pure, resonant, glowing. Now picture it submerged in mud. The crystal hasn't disappeared. It hasn't stopped glowing, but the light no longer reaches out. The signal no longer echoes clearly. That is the state of the field beneath the veil. You are not broken. You are mud-covered light. If something you heard just now echoed in your chest, let your field respond. Like this video, it anchors the tone. Even a simple gesture and a click realigns your signal with the code. To remember is not to recover facts. It is to reawaken frequency. And that process begins with recognizing where the veil lives. It lives in inherited beliefs, in ancestral wounds, in subconscious vows like, I must struggle to deserve. My voice is not safe. Abundance belongs to others. The divine is outside me. None of these are true, but all of them are frequencies. Frequencies that jam the signal of manifestation. So ask yourself now, what have I agreed to without ever choosing it? Because the veil is not just forgetting what you are, it's believing you are what you're not. The moment you see this, the fabric begins to tear, and through that tear, light returns. The veil only holds power when you confuse it with truth. You were taught to call noise reality, to call fear wisdom, to call limitation humility, to call effort worthiness. But these were never your truths. They were the dust of time, the echoes of others, the static of the veil. And now, you are remembering how to hear again. Breathe in, slowly. Imagine pulling light through that breath. Now ask, what part of me still believes I'm disconnected? Whose voice says I'm not ready? Where did I first learn to doubt my own tone? These questions are not mental. They are vibrational levers. They do not seek answers. They seek resonance. The veil is not outside. It's the field when you forget you are the field. But now you are hearing again. The echoes are returning. The command that was buried begins to pulse. Do you feel it? Not as words, as a subtle yes, as a remembering without language. That is the beginning of the return. You are not here to fight the veil. You are here to recognize it and walk through, not with resistance, but with vibration, with the tone that says, I remember who I am. I release what is not mine. I no longer speak the language of forgetting. I realign. When you say yes to your true tone, the veil becomes a doorway. And every time you remember, even briefly, the signal sharpens, the field clears, the gate shifts. This is not conceptual. It is electromagnetic. It is real, and you can feel it now. You may still doubt. That is part of the passage. But let this truth land. The presence you feel when you are most still is not a mystery. It is the part of you beyond the veil. It has always been watching, waiting, humming your real name in silence. So if the veil distorts your signal, how do you reprogram the field? In the next gate, we activate the Codex of Living Symbols, the vibrational language Thoth left for those ready to rewrite reality from within. A true symbol doesn't speak to your mind. It reconfigures your field. There are languages deeper than thought. They are not taught. They are remembered. And when they speak, they don't explain. They reshape. The Codex of Living Symbols is not a book. It is a vibration, clothed in image. It is what Thoth left not for the eye, but for the field. You may imagine glyphs carved into emerald. You may see spirals, eyes, staffs, and serpents. But what you're really seeing is the echo of a frequency, because the Codex was not made of stone. It was made of resonance. The symbol is the silence made visible. Each true symbol is a gate. It does not explain reality. It initiates you into a new one. And as you gaze into it, you are not reading, you are remembering. That spiral you see isn't art. It's instruction, not for your hands, for your cells. The serpent, not just mythology, a current of DNA consciousness. The eye, not a watcher, a mirror to the seer within. The ankh, not decoration, a map of the union between matter and spirit. Thoth's Codex was never literal. It was vibrational cartography. But here's the secret. The Codex was never outside you. The true symbols, the living ones, are not in books or temples. They are in your dreams, your visions, the recurring shapes that rise when your mind is still. Those are not imagination. They are activations. The soul speaks symbol. The body responds in silence. Think of a time a shape appeared in your meditation, a symbol you didn't understand, but felt. That wasn't random. That was the Codex, touching your field, reminding you. And in that moment, you weren't decoding. You were being rewritten. The Codex is not interpreted. It is inhaled. Let's go deeper. Close your eyes now. Imagine a golden symbol rising before you. You don't need to name it. Just see it. Feel its edges, its hum. Now place it, gently, over your chest. Let it enter your breath. You're not visualizing. You're remembering a living interface. The glyph is not separate from you. It is the shape your vibration takes when it remembers. In the ancient temples, initiates would sit for hours before a single symbol, not to study, to synchronize. They knew, the longer you dwell in its presence, the more your field begins to mimic its order. That is not metaphor. That is resonance. The Codex is not passive. It reorganizes you. Think of a tuning fork. Place another beside it. And if one vibrates, the other begins to resonate in silence. That's what the Codex does. It activates by proximity, by presence, by allowance. No ritual, no performance, just field to field. The right symbol at the right time is not information, it's alignment. But this leads to a deeper layer, because once you begin to feel the symbols, they begin to change. They no longer just appear. They speak, in silence, in dreams, in chills that come without cause. And if you listen long enough, you will begin to speak them too, not with language, but with gaze, with posture, with breath. You become the Codex, the living glyph. You're not alone in this remembering. If a symbol revealed itself to you during this transmission, write it below. A single comment may awaken something in someone else. The greatest symbols are not drawn, they are embodied. Your way of walking becomes a frequency. Your voice begins to echo something ancient. Your silence becomes a doorway others feel without knowing why. This is what it means to become a carrier of the Codex. Not a reader, not a teacher, a frequency. The Codex only opens for those who stop trying to read it. So stop analyzing, start letting, start listening. Start asking not what does this mean, but what does this rearrange in me? That shift is where the glyph becomes alive. But if symbols are keys, where do they lead? Next, we follow the frequency beyond the form, into the heart temple, where vibration becomes sacred space, and intention becomes architecture. The most sacred temple is not made of stone. It is built of resonance. You've walked through sacred sites in visions. You've seen the pillars, the domes, the glyphs etched into gold and emerald. But the most ancient temple was never built. It was remembered, and it pulses now, behind your ribs, quiet, unclaimed, ready. The true chamber of manifestation is your heart, not the organ, the field, the space it generates, the tone it emits. Modern science calls it electromagnetic. Ancient wisdom called it the throne of the soul. Either way, it's the place where thought becomes vibration, and vibration becomes world. The heart temple is not a metaphor. It is your original sanctuary. Before the mind, before the voice, before the story, the heart felt the frequency of what was true, and in that resonance, the field bent. That was the original magic. Not to force, not to chant, but to enter the heart temple and let the silence speak the world into being. This is why Thoth whispered, because loudness cannot cross the threshold. Only coherence enters the temple. Only resonance is heard. The field around you does not obey noise. It mirrors truth, and truth is not an idea. Truth is a tone. Close your eyes. Place your awareness behind your sternum. Feel the space, not the muscle, but the frequency. Now breathe, not to move air, but to vibrate the chamber. With each inhale, light. With each exhale, tone. You are not visualizing. You are architecting. You've been taught to speak to the universe, but have you ever let your heart do it? Not the words, not the desire, but the vibration, the silent song behind your wanting. This is not poetry, it is technology. The ancients built temples not to house gods, but to mirror the resonance of the heart. The outer stone was only ever a reflection of the inner throne. You are the altar, you are the architect, you are the frequency. Everything you've been asking for, health, clarity, love, abundance, is not waiting in the future. It is waiting in your tone, and the tone is tuned in the heart temple, not with force, but with presence. Imagine this now. You step into your own inner chamber. It glows without source, it echoes without sound. There you lay your next desire, not as a plea, but as a frequency offering. You don't explain it, you don't define it, you feel it into the space, and the temple listens, not with ears, but with coherence. The heart doesn't need to convince reality, it vibrates it into form. This is why manifestation doesn't begin in thought, it begins in tone. The heart temple is the chamber where your true yes begins, and when that yes is whole, reality opens. Not slowly, not partially, but like a door that was always waiting for your vibration to match the key. You've been looking for the key, but the heart has always been the lock. Let this echo now. You do not attract what you want. You attract what your heart temple holds as already known. So ask, what's vibrating in your temple? What tones are echoing beneath your silence? You don't need to analyze. You just need to listen. And if you listen long enough, you'll hear the glyphs again. The codes. The spiral tone of Thoth. Not as something to learn, but as something you've always been. Because you are not separate from the field. You are the pulse that shapes it. But once the tone is set, how do you send it into the field? Next, we enter the ritual of transmission, where your vibration becomes instruction, and the act of creation becomes sacred movement. You don't get what you want. You get what you consistently transmit. What if your life isn't random? What if it's simply a mirror, not of thought, but of tone? The tone you hold, the tone you emit, not just in meditation, but in motion, not just in ritual, but in routine, because you're always transmitting, with every breath, with every glance, with every moment you choose presence over pattern. Manifestation isn't magic, it's transmission, and the field doesn't judge. It doesn't decide what you deserve. It simply aligns with what you send. If you walk in fear, it sends you echoes of fear. If you move in coherence, it reorganizes itself around your clarity. This is the ritual of transmission, not ceremony, frequency and motion. The temple was never just for stillness, it was a transmitter. You are that temple, and when your vibration is no longer confined to the inner chamber, when it becomes movement, posture, gaze, breath, you become the ritual. You don't need candles, you don't need chants, you need coherent presence. That is what bends reality. So ask yourself now, what am I transmitting in the ordinary? When I walk into a room, what field enters with me? When I speak, what frequency wraps around my words? When I wait, when I breathe, when I act, am I aligned? Because even your stillness transmits, even your waiting sends instruction, and the field always responds. The ritual isn't what you do, it's what you radiate. This is why the sages could manifest with a glance, why the mystics moved worlds in silence, Why Thoth could shape reality not by action, but by being, because their transmission was clear, their inner and outer were one. Their words carried the tone of their breath, their actions carried the tone of their belief. And this is your power now, not to get what you want, but to transmit so clearly that reality has no choice but to echo you. It cannot resist coherence, it only reflects it. So begin now. Walk like the version of you who already lives in that timeline. Speak from the frequency you want to sustain. Touch reality as if it's already responding, because it is. The field doesn't wait for your ritual to end. The field is your ritual. You're not watching anymore. You've entered the field. Comment below, I am transmitting. Let this be your seal and your signal. This changes everything. It means the sacred is no longer separate, no longer hidden in temples or books. It means your life is the temple, and your presence is the offering. And when you move from this knowing, everything begins to shift, not because you asked, because you became. But once the ritual has begun, how do you sustain the tone? Next, we enter the phase of vibrational reprogramming, where words become commands, and your body becomes the amplifier of a new timeline. Your field is not fixed. It is programmable, and you are the coder. For years, you may have believed that your reality is determined by external factors: luck, effort, circumstance, destiny. But what if all of that is simply the output of an inner script? A script written not in words, but in vibration. And that script can be rewritten. Your vibration is not a fingerprint. It's a frequency you can tune. It changes with your focus. It shifts with your stories. It reshapes with your breath, your images, your words. The ancients knew this. That's why initiation always included new names, new phrases, new tones. Because to become new, you must begin to speak a new language to your field. Let's be clear. You are not trying to think positively. That's surface. You are not trying to fake it. That's dissonant. You are speaking vibrationally, not to your mind, but to your cells, to your nervous system, to the memory of your frequency. A reprogrammed field does not need to force reality. It attracts resonance. So what does this look like? It begins with a shift in your inner narration, because every sentence you silently repeat becomes a tone, and every tone becomes a magnet. Let's make this vibrational. If your old script says, I don't know how, it never works for me, I'm not ready, something's missing, your field transmits delay, lack, dissonance. Now feel the shift when you change the code to, the field responds to my tone, not my doubt. I am a clear transmitter of coherence. What I seek is already responding. This breath aligns me with my next timeline. These are not affirmations. These are frequency locks. They anchor your vibration to a new grid. Words become waves. Waves become worlds. This is reprogramming. Not mental repetition, but vibrational insistencia. Saying it until your field believes, not by force, but by presence. So here is your ritual now. Identify the distortion. Where am I transmitting from fear? What thought loops feel heavy, not alive? Speak the opposite tone, not as denial, but as redirection. Even now the field is realigning. Clarity doesn't arrive, it emerges from silence. Anchor it with sensation. Feel the phrase drop into your body. Let it echo beyond the mind. Repeat, not to convince, but to cohere. Let's try one now. Inhale, say internally, my tone creates timelines. Exhale, now again, I am not waiting. I am transmitting. Notice what shifts, not in thought, but in field. You're not convincing yourself. You're reprogramming the signal. The body believes the field. The field obeys the tone. The tone begins with you. There is no delay in energy, only distortion. And now, you are clarifying. But how do you sustain this tone when the world pushes back? In the next passage, we close this portal with the final expansion, where your new frequency is sealed, anchored, and echoed into the next timeline. What you've activated is not a concept. It's a new timeline. And this moment, this silence, it isn't the end. It's the field adjusting to your new tone. Because the frequency you held before this is not the frequency you hold now. You've remembered. You've aligned. You've begun to transmit. And the field has already begun to echo back. The echo might not arrive as thunder. It may whisper first. In symbols, in dreams, in sudden clarity. Do not look for proof. Look for resonance. Do not ask, where is it? Ask, what am I vibrating now? Because the answer to that is the reality that's forming. So breathe now, not as a gesture, but as a seal. Inhale, the code. Exhale, the echo. Inhale, the alignment. Exhale, the transmission. You are no longer watching a video. You are standing inside a ritual. This is your expansion, not outward, but inward. You are no longer the version who began this journey. That one was seeking. This one is resonating. You don't need to fight for the future. You need only sustain this tone. Let the world bend. Let timelines shift. Let old frequencies fall away without noise. You are not here to convince reality. You are here to anchor coherence. And as the field begins to mirror you, you may feel things break, fall away, change shape. Do not fear this. It is not collapse. It is the old matrix making space for your vibration to root. What expands must be grounded. What is born in frequency must be sealed in form. So speak now, not as wish, but as declaration. I am the temple and the tone. I am the carrier and the code. I remember. I transmit. I become. Let these not be ideas. Let them be frequencies that enter your body. Because the most powerful words don't rise from thought. They descend from coherence. This is not goodbye. This is integration. And what you've activated today is not complete. It is alive. It will grow with you, whisper through you, shape your choices in silence. You are now part of the field, and the field is part of you. The next code is already pulsing. It's not about what you'll learn. It's about what will awaken when you hear it. In the next transmission, we open the codex of sacred time, where past, present, and future collapse into one vibrational command. The field is waiting. If something inside you opened, leave a trace below, a word, a tone, a symbol. Sometimes, the smallest act of coherence is enough to ripple through the entire field. And if you wish to remain in this frequency, the next echo waits in the pinned comment. The field is no longer out there. It is you, expanded. You have walked through 9 temples. Each one stripped a layer. Each one revealed a tone. Each one returned you to yourself. But this one, this moment, is not about returning. It is about remaining in frequency, remaining in the code you've awakened, remaining in the vibration you now carry. The true challenge is not remembering. It is continuing to remember while the world forgets. You will walk back into noise, into timelines that still echo the old field, into people who do not feel what you now feel. But you will not contract. You will not explain. You will not dilute. You will transmit, because now you are a signal, not a seeker, a sender. Expansion is not bigger. Expansion is truer. And to stay expanded, you don't need more knowledge. You don't need to understand everything. You only need to not betray your tone. That means saying no when your field says no, breathing before responding, feeling before acting, pausing when the field shifts, trusting silence as instruction. These are not just behaviors, they are codes of coherence. You are no longer here to perform reality. You are here to shape it. But shaping is not force. It is fidelity to the signal, to the tone, to the knowing that arrived when you stopped pushing. Remember that? That moment when your chest softened, when something inside you said, "This is it." That was not a thought. It was a frequency arriving home. Let's ground it now. Close your eyes again and imagine you are walking in a golden chamber, the heart temple. Everything is still. There is no one to impress, no timeline to chase, only a resonance. And that resonance is you. Now, place your hand on your chest. Feel the vibration underneath. Say silently, "I am the guardian of this tone. I am the echo of what I remembered." Pause. Let the words ripple beyond your skin. They are not sentences. They are symbols. When you speak from alignment, you become the command. So here is the final seal. Every time you return to this tone, you rewrite reality, not by hoping, by holding, by remaining in frequency long enough for the field to shape around you. The world may resist your vibration, but your vibration is not here to argue. It's here to outlast. Let them doubt. Let the old systems glitch. Let silence stretch awkwardly before your new clarity. You are not here to shrink into comfort. You are here to stand in coherence, because coherence coin is the new magic. It does not look like effort. It looks like truth, sustained. Now breathe. This breath is not recovery. It is reinforcement. Inhale, I remember. Exhale, I remain. Let this be your loop, your echo, your field signature. When all else shakes, return here. You've done more than learn. You've recoded. You've shifted. You've tuned your field to the ancient current. And in doing so, you've become a signal others will feel without knowing why. You will walk into spaces and shift timelines just by being. You will speak, and others will pause, not at your words, but at your tone. You've become a vessel of coherence in a fragmented world. The code is no longer hidden. It lives in your breath, your silence, your gaze. Thoth no longer whispers to you. He whispers through you. The next transmission is already encoded. If you felt something move inside you, subscribe now and let the field continue what it started, because the echo he planted has awakened in a body that can now carry it forward, and that body is yours. If the glyph awakened in you, let it speak. Leave a trace in the field, a word, a phrase, a frequency below. And if you choose to remain in this temple of tone, the next codex waits. In the pinned comment, your next reality is humming.